This is Prepared to Qualify, and I'm Troy. And Troy's favorite sport is IndyCar racing. And here are some of the really stupid things that I've done in my life just within the last few years because I'm such a huge fan of IndyCar racing. I sent a Scott Dixon PNC Bank Honda 118 diecast to my friend that works for PNC Bank. She has it on her desk and she says it starts a conversation every day that she goes to work at PNC Bank. I got a Connor Daly diecast 118 of his Bitnow car with ECR, and I took it to my local Firestone when I got my tires rotated and gave it to the manager who was very knowledgeable about IndyCar, and I appreciated that. So I rewarded that person with a diecast, and she will never forget that. That will be in that store until the day that the store closes. I also had my Honda CRV worked on this week at my local Honda dealer. And my service tech, Chris, had never heard that Honda was one of the sponsors of the IndyCar series and that they even sponsored cars or had cars in the IndyCar 500 or IndyCar series. And so I got him a diecast of Graham Rahal's Mobile One livery in the Indy 500, and he was thrilled. I also had a customer at ABC Supply Store in Austin that I took a Santino Ferrucci diecast to last year when he was in the Indy 500. When they were wrapping up their sponsorship of the entire year, I decided to take a diecast over to the company, and it sits on the manager's desk, and it always generates conversation. I haven't stepped foot in a Target store in 10 years. Not that there's anything wrong with Target. It's just the fact that I don't need anything from Target, especially now that Target decided not to sponsor any of the IndyCar teams. During the 4-race run for Chili's on Kyle Kirkwood's Andretti Global car, I took a diecast over to my local Chili's where I get dinner very often and gave it to the manager, and she was thrilled. She had never even heard that they had a race car. Well, guess what? They decided that same week not to sponsor the car anymore, and then Kyle Kirkwood won that very next week. He won the Long Beach Grand Prix. And I know there's a lot of Chili's restaurants in California, so guess what? They missed out on a huge opportunity of winning that race to be on the side of that car. So let me just tell you, it means something to sponsor these cars. It means something to sponsor these cars, and the people that work for these companies need to know that they're sponsoring one of our cars or two of our cars. And it's not the responsibility of the company that's paying the money. It's our responsibility to let them know and to work out some type of a promotional arrangement to where, say, all the employees of ABC Supply get to register for a free weekend at the Indy 500. Memorial Day weekend. I mean, how great would that be? Just things like that. Things to promote ourselves within the companies that are sponsoring us. And by all means, I'm not saying that everybody that loves IndyCar should go out and buy diecasts and spend their own money like stupid me. I'm just obsessed with the fact that I think the NTT IndyCar Series is one of the best sports on the planet as far as what you get when you go to a race. If you buy tickets to the race, the parking is almost always free. You can bring in usually whatever you want to the track, or if they do sell things at the track, it's very reasonable. You can get a beer for $3 and stuff. I mean, it's the best deal going. So if you haven't been to an IndyCar race, I mean, what are you waiting on? If you watch the series every week, I don't care where it is. I don't care where you live. If you have a race in your state or not, then get a couple flights to a race and go. I mean, it's really not a bad weekend. You can do it for, I don't know, $1,500. You can get tickets to the race. You can get your plane tickets. You can get the hotel. I mean, where can you get a whole weekend for $1,500 with that much entertainment? You can't. And again, that's the point of this YouTube channel right now, is just to make people aware. If you love IndyCar like I do, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do, then I want you to be aware of who is paying for our sport and what we need to do to grow our sport to where we're, at least in line some weekends with, say, the Xfinity Series. I mean, I really think that that's probably our biggest competition, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I mean, they get about the same amount of people, if not a little bit more, as far as watching the races on the weekends. They have more races, obviously, and that helps them. And they buddy up with the Cup Series and the Truck Series at many of the races, so it gives you that 1, 2, 3 weekend. I'm hoping that one day, if Indy Next becomes as big as I think it can be, and I've started watching it where I never really have before, because it's really exciting racing. And the Indy Next Series can hopefully be one of those that other people come to watch. Both races of the weekend. They come to watch the Indy Next and the IndyCar Series, and we have a double header. That's the best way to do it. And then that way you create interest in both series. Last week we talked about the announcement from Fox Sports to invest in the IndyCar Series. They bought 1/3 stake in the NTT IndyCar Series and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So this is a huge off season, and I know Fox is going to be working hard, as well as the people at IndyCar in the marketing department, in the home offices. So I think that an opportunity like this isn't going to come along really ever again. This is our chance to really build some brand awareness and get people interested. One of the things I noticed is that my daughter lives in the Dallas area, and she's a huge Texas Rangers fan, and she said Pato O'Ward threw out the first pitch in the Rangers game on Thursday. I mean, what a great idea that was. All 60,000 people or however many people were at the Rangers game that day, and they draw pretty good crowds, all got to find out that tickets went on sale to the Arlington Grand Prix, and Pato O'Ward was there for them to meet and see who he was and throw in the first pitch. What a great idea. And then we have to talk about something maybe a little bit negative, which is unfortunately the Iowa Speedway is still bothering me, just to the fact that there really was only that many people in Iowa that weekend that wanted to go see a great open wheel race. In fact, 2 of them. And then yet last weekend when NASCAR's in Iowa, there's not a seat open in the house, because NASCAR is still an event there. They've only had 3 NASCAR races so far, so it's still a new item, where IndyCar's been going there since the mid 2005, 2006, I think may have been when the first race was there in Iowa. But you can't compete with NASCAR, so don't even try. And especially, you can't compete with NASCAR that's only been going to that track for a couple years, and they're 2 weeks apart. So yes, there should have been more people at the Iowa race, and yes, we should have done a better job promoting it. But come on, you had the NASCAR race 2 weeks later. If people were going to choose at this point, they're going to choose the NASCAR race because there's only been a few of them. And this goes back to my one main idea that I thought about when I was attending Formula One and NASCAR races during the last 3 or 4 years, is that how you have the haulers that bring in all the merchandise for the races. They bring in the shirts, the hats, the die casts, the collectibles. They put up little displays for engines, and they have the National Guard out there. Well, of course, every race has those. Well, how about we have a hauler that is just for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? So it could represent the Brickyard 400 and the Indianapolis 500, and travel to all the NASCAR races and get a couple of Dallara chassis that maybe people aren't using, or buy a couple of the older ones, paint them up to look really cool, and let people's kids climb on them. Let their kids sit in them. I was at a Rangers game not too long ago in Arlington, and I saw one of the IndyCar prototypes that is there to promote the race. And they have it all roped off, and they have all these signs saying, do not touch, pictures only, but do not touch. What? Why? Buy a couple of them, take them to the NASCAR races, okay? Let the kids climb on them. They won't let kids climb on any of these things. You let one kid climb into one of those cars, and he is hooked for life, okay? So let's think outside the box a little bit. I'd be willing to now that I'm semi-retired, take almost every weekend of my life and go to a NASCAR race to promote the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Whether it be the Brickyard 400, we could give away weekend tickets to the Brickyard 400 and the Indianapolis 500 to NASCAR fans. Let them register. Let's draw. Let's let them climb in the cars. Let's let them drive the simulators. Put a couple of simulators out there and let the kids drive them. Let them see what it's all about. If NASCAR is willing to let us do that, which I would think they would, since we also represent the Brickyard 400, then why not spend a little money? And that's where we're going to get our new fans, our race fans. Okay, NASCAR fans are already race fans. They already like watching cars go round and round in a circle or on a closed circuit road course or whatever. They like that. So they're going to like IndyCar if they're just given a little taste of it, or they're, maybe given a little incentive to watch a couple of weekends. They're going to end up liking it because they're already motorsports fans. I like watching other races. I liked watching the IMSA races last weekend. I enjoyed watching the Formula One and the NASCAR. I mean, my favorite is IndyCar, but I still love anything that has four wheels, and so do these other people. So you let me get out there and promote IndyCar and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Brickyard 400, and give me a hauler with a couple of cars and some simulators and some giveaways. And man, let me go to those NASCAR races, and I will have more IndyCar fans for us for next year. So this week, in addition to looking at a couple of the current paint schemes or liveries for the race in Portland this weekend, just wanted to look back at some of the iconic sponsors that IndyCar's had in the past. That, these are the sponsors that make us remember cars for life. Just like the behind me, the Pennzoil, the yellow Pennzoil Chaparral, always one of my favorite cars. And I love the aero paint schemes, like when James Hinchcliffe was driving with the gold and black, and now that it's turned into McLaren, I still really love all of their liveries. So yeah, we're going to highlight a couple of new drivers or current drivers, Christian Lundgaard and Alexander Rossi, and we're going to look at their sponsors. We're also going to look at a few of the iconic ones, and some of the ones that come to mind immediately are those Penske Marlboro liveries that look like a box of Marlboro Reds. And I mean, how great were they? I mean, yeah, I understand why they had to go away. And then obviously, still it's near and dear to my heart are the Target Chip Ganassi cars. I miss them every time I watch a race. There just wasn't anything like the Red 9 and the Red 10. When they were winning every weekend, boy, it was pretty fun to watch. And, their cars looked great. I mean, the Target logo and stuff on the car just looked amazing. And then you also had Michael Andretti, so you remember some of his cars. I always remember the Kmart, the Texaco cars, especially the black one like you see now. Then you had Tony Kanaan with the 7-Eleven livery that was when he was with Andretti. The car looked great. In fact, we had one at my house when my kids were little, and we loved playing with it. And, it was just one of those things that I'll never forget. I'll never forget that car. I'll never forget 7-Eleven. Every time I go by 7-Eleven, I think about that car still to this day. Also, you have Rick Mears. It was another one of the drivers of the yellow Chaparral. A few years earlier than the Sam Hornish version up above me. But Rick Mears, yeah, he's the one that started it. And I think even Al Unser drove the yellow Pennzoil Chaparral and won an Indy 500 in it as well. So, I mean, that car has had some really good success at the Indy 500. And I was disappointed that Elliott wasn't able to win another one in the number 3 yellow Chaparral. But we'll see. Maybe Scotty McLaughlin can win next year. He was actually my pick this year. And when he went out, before the first lap, I mean, I felt so bad for him. And because I really thought he was going to win. I mean, he had like the fastest car all month, and just golly, just a really just ridiculous thing that happened to him on the first lap. Hopefully that'll never happen again. And I can see him having some revenge, factor for next year. And he's going to want to win the Indy 500 even more than ever. And that should be scary to the other drivers. So anyways, here's another couple ones I thought about. Bobby Rahal's red Budweiser, that won the 1986 Indy 500 car. I mean, that car looked great with that Budweiser logo. Also, you had AJ Foyt's Copenhagen black number 14 car. That was a great livery as well. Just basically classy. It looked tough. Danny Sullivan's Miller High Life car with the spin and win. I think that was 1985 when he did that. That Miller High Life car actually was it Jacob Abel that was supposed to run it in the Indy 500 this year, and unfortunately he didn't make the race. But man, that car looked good. I was really disappointed, because it's nice to have some of these companies try to bring back these special iconic liveries. And so we need to keep we need to keep on the teams and the series to have more of these throwback kind of weekends, to where maybe we can have some of these older liveries come back. And it's always a great idea, and it just makes the sport. It illustrates the history, the proud history of the sport, and how long that the IndyCar series has been doing this, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, how long it's been around. I mean, these things are part of everybody's youth. And if you have a car that you loved and you have a livery and a company that sponsored it, then you will remember that car for the rest of your life. So the two cars that we're going to highlight this week to look at their sponsors, so that we can actually identify who's paying for the sponsorship and then patronize that sponsor with our business, are Christian Lundgaard's car. He drives for Aero McLaren. So you have the Aero McLaren livery, you have the colors on there, but you also have the Velo, which is a which makes nicotine pouches in all kinds of flavors. So if you're not 21, you could not listen to that. You need to just disregard that I said that, but that's what they make, are nicotine pouches. You have to be 21 and older to buy them, and they're a year-long sponsor, and I appreciate them. I mean, do I use these kind of things? I mean, I don't know, maybe sometimes, but if I do, I'll surely go get a pouch of the Velo and whatever flavor I feel like getting. So I think that's a great sponsorship, and like I said, they've been on the car all year. And then you have the Alexander Rossi and the Christian Rasmussen, the Java House Splenda sponsorship. And I looked up Java House after last weekend's race at Laguna Seca, just because I was curious about it. And they're a local Indiana coffee roaster that has a bunch of different styles of coffee that you can put in. You can have them made in pods, or you can have them made in other ways that you could brew them at home. So you can get online and buy them at Java House, I think javahouse.com, and we can put a link in the description. But yeah, with Splenda on board, it's the perfect combination of coffee and sweetener. So I mean, you've got to thank both of those sponsors for their year-long sponsorship of 2 cars. So I mean, that's a big deal. And congratulations to Ed Carpenter Racing for locking up that sponsor for the whole year. But yeah, you can get online, buy yourself some Java House coffee. Give it a try. I'm sure, I mean, they put their sponsorship on these cars so that people all around the nation will know who they are. So let's let them know that we know who they are, and buy some coffee from them and see how it tastes. And also, if you're anywhere that you're getting tea or coffee or whatever, then get some Splenda for it. Like I said, great sponsor for the whole year long. So I was really happy to see that. Next weekend, we'll look at a couple of other sponsors. But yeah, if you want to find out what the current sponsors are for each race, actually, if you go to the IndyCar app, or you go to IndyCar.com and you click on the current race, which would be Portland for this weekend, and then you click on the Spotter's Guide. It's a little tab right below where it lists the time of the race and where the race is and all that kind of stuff. But right below that, there's a Spotter's Guide. If you click on that Spotter's Guide, then you can see all of the cars for this weekend and who their sponsors are and what the paint scheme, what the livery is going to look like. So please do that, before every race. Just get yourself familiar with who is sponsoring the cars. I'm not saying you have to drive out like that afternoon and go to a Wendy's, or go to a ice cream place that's on the side of a car, or go fill yourself up with some oil that's on the side of another car. But just keep it in mind as you go through the week, when you see one of the sponsors, go, oh wow, I think they sponsor one of the Indy cars. Yes, they do. I'm going to go there instead of going to this other place. This just makes sense. So they're paying for the sport that we love, so let's help them out. And this is what this whole YouTube channel is all about, and will be, is the business of IndyCar. How can we grow the sport? How can we make the people that are paying for our sport, how can we make them more money? Because if they make more money, we get more races and we're happier. So that's all I'm going to have for this week. Enjoy the race. We'll see if Alex Palou can wrap up the championship this weekend in Portland. We'll definitely talk about the race next week and some of the other business opportunities that might be coming in the off season. But just wanted to say thank you again for making it this far in the video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next week.